Is it time once again to rethink the national anthems at sporting events? The Pack Your Crap edition for the NHL season even gets started, and some news regarding the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Let's get into her. 1420 Sports Bar podcast. Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans. So sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. The 1420 Sports Bar podcast, Four Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. Today's show, as always, brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420GEEK at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. Well, the sporting world's going to be the center of attention in Toronto tonight, probably for all the wrong reasons. Going to have some political overtones, I guess one could say, as the Kansas City Royals hot. They're a little hot lately, 8 in a row. I think they've won 9 of the last 10. Don't have a hope in hell of making a wild card spot. Well, you should never know. I mean, it could possibly happen, but probably won't. Face off the Toronto Blue Jays, who kind of have a glimmer of hope to get in there still. Before the game even starts, going to be once again the national anthem. It's been played before sporting events since Christ was a cowboy. It's going to be front and center again, and I suspect it won't be a warm welcome for the Star Spangled Banner. And amidst the situation with the two governments deciding to tariff the heck out of each other, and some retaliatory tariffs going back towards the United States and Trump and the stuff, but we're not going to get political. Everybody kind of knows my stance on the whole thing, but I'm not going to make it glaringly obvious. And if you disagree, we disagree, and that's fine. We don't have to agree on everything, but tonight's going to be another example of maybe why it's time. As I said a couple of years ago, 2025, was it, the Four Nations face-off when the elbows up thing came, and what's his name, J.D. Vance was saying some disparaging comments and 51st state and all that stuff. And during the Four Nations face-off, the Star Spangled Banner got booed heavily in Canadian centers. I don't think it's right. I understand it. I get it. But keeping politics out of sports is probably not the easiest thing to do this time. Once again, with everything going on, but if the best way to avoid a situation and just not have it, wouldn't that be an easier thing to do and more better, as my dad used to say, a more better thing to do? That way you're not poking the bear of a petulant child or a petulant group of people on either side of the border. And I'm talking like if there was there's a strong group of Canadians who are awfully loud who would probably really like to boo the national anthem. They'd like to be a certain way and show that their quote unquote patriotism. I don't do air quotes with my hand. It's dumb. And then the Americans, you don't want to give them a reason to poke the bear at us and be upset with us. So I think this is one of those situations where if you didn't have it, no one would probably know. I think Major League Baseball, the anthems aren't even shown on TV. In fact, I know they aren't until the playoffs get going. Because like I was at a few games last few weeks, as you know, the anthem's about 5-10 minutes before 7 o'clock, or if first pitch is at 7:05, it's well before the broadcast even starts. So unless you're actually in the building, you don't know. And most of the times the buildings, people are getting hot dogs and beer and everything else. So I don't want to say standing at attention for your anthem is an inconvenience. But, if I don't have to stop talking to the beer vendor or the hot dog guy or whoever it might be because the one of the two songs is on, I wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't know. And I think it's kind of one of those times, the best way to avoid a situation is avoid a situation. You want to be patriotic. You want to show pride to your country. You want to show pride to the to veterans and everything else that fought for our countries over the years. But should it just be time to maybe just let it go to the wayside, just like a lot of other traditions in sports have gone? I don't think you would get a lot of pushback from a lot of people. Yeah, the only people that really like it are the anthem singers who get to come out themselves. I don't think players, especially, would notice, would care. I've never been a professional athlete, but it's neat the first time, and then after that, it's like, oh, whatever. For special events and special games, All-Star Game, playoffs, opening day, maybe do it. But for game 138 between a team going nowhere and a team that might be going nowhere, what are we doing? And to have the possibility of one nation being really pissed off and mad, and having their leaders, not just leader, and news broadcasts and I'm not saying bow to them and not do it, but it's like what's it gain? What's it gaining you? What's the big picture? Because we know how a certain person acts. Is it gaining anybody anything by playing the anthem? Probably not. By booing it and having it to be front and center, and there's no way that there won't be people booing it tonight. Ontario is a very liberal-facing government. Their premier, Ford, is been very vocal the last few days, as Carney has, and rightfully so. This whole thing is, I don't want to say he started it, but I think you guys know what I mean. So if you don't have the anthem, no one's going to care. No one's going to know. I mean, you think about how much money, if you got rid of these things over, do it opening day of the NFL season is coming up, and NFL or college football is coming up this weekend. You think how much money that would save the taxpayers by not having the stealth bombers or whatever they are. I think they're still the stealth bombers, but having those bombers fly over the stadium, and how much money that takes out of taxpayers' dollars. And you could put that money to better use and elsewhere. I just think that it's come to a time with all this, and I'm not being woke, I'm not being anything, and this has nothing to do with years ago with the Colin Kaepernick thing, which I said on this show before. I was mistaken by the way it was perceived at first, and the way it's been perceived since, the way it still is. But if you don't want, and this has to work for both sides of the table, sports is supposed to be an entertainment and a bridge to get from one side of your life to the other, and not have the tough conversations that are coming no matter what, and to not have scenarios where you're giving these arguments a chance to be more uneducated on a daily basis, because nobody really, I mean, there are people that really know what's going on, but there are also a lot of people, probably most that listen to my show, don't know and don't care what's going on. So maybe just keep it out of harm's way and just don't do it. I mean, more people obviously watch the game on TV than watch it in the stadium, no matter what stadium you're at. So if you're only placating to a small percentage of people who might want to listen to it, then what's the point of doing it? Right? If the little girl or the little boy or the aspiring country star or pop star or whoever, if they're heartbroken because they didn't get a chance to sing the anthem, they'll find another place to peddle your wares, I guess. I think it's just time to let this thing go. Like, you do it at the Olympics, that's fine. But you have so many different countries that are involved in these games. And yeah, I understand that it's played in the United States, most games, and then there's the ones in Canada, especially professional sports. But there's so many other players, especially in baseball, that aren't from that aren't from the United States or from Canada. So if you're not playing Dominican anthem, you're not playing the Puerto Rican anthem, you're not playing not the Puerto Rico is not part of the United States. But if you're not playing Venezuela, if you're not playing whatever, and it's not like they're playing the Canadian anthem at every barn in the United States either, right? So maybe it's just time to let this thing go. And tonight it's gonna rear its ugly head, and people aren't going to listen to this show anytime soon to maybe get the memo out to the fine people down at Rogers Centre in Toronto. Maybe stop it and say, hey, maybe just don't do it. The best way to avoid a situation, and don't add the fuel to the fire. I don't think it would be disrespectful. I think that if it just suddenly went away, other than for special occasions, and then it would mean more. if you think about it, if it was used for just certain events and certain things, like I said earlier, with the opening day and then the All Star game and then the playoffs, it would probably mean more to people if they got the honor of singing the thing, and then it would not just another thing in the script that we had that we're supposed to do. That a lot of players just down the hall in the clubhouse, anyways. A lot of players don't even take the field. They're just not, like, a lot of them aren't even around. And NFL's kind of the same way, where they're kind of just walking around and they're there, but they're not. It doesn't get a lot of play, obviously, because it's done at a different time. Hockey has it different because they do it during the opening of the game, like on Hockey Night in Canada and everywhere it goes. I guess I can't say Hockey Night in Canada anymore. It's not even a thing anymore in its current state, or the state that we're used to. But you just think that maybe if it went away, no one would care, no one would know, and it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Like, if they didn't do it tonight and didn't do it tomorrow, it'd be like, all right, that's kind of maybe that's a good thing. Is anybody going to ask for their money back if the anthem didn't get played? Probably not. In fact, I guarantee they won't. But there's going to be a lot of negativity, and like, booing is, like I said yesterday about the Deshaun Watson thing. Booing things in general is kind of lame. Like, it doesn't do you much good. You can, you boo your own guy for, going 0 for 3 when their bases loaded a couple of times, maybe. But, I'd rather jeer and swear at the guy than yell boo, right? That's what ghosts say, right? So I don't know if booing is actually, it's pretty childish and pretty stupid. And you get to booing a national anthem, that's even more childish and more stupid, no matter what your feelings are. Right. I wouldn't like it very much if I was at a game when I was down maybe Atlanta or in St. Louis, or where else did I go to a game in Chicago, and I was standing there during the anthem if the Jays were in town, and all of a sudden they start booing the national anthem, being one of the few Canadians, not one of the only, but one of the few Canadians in the building. Obviously, didn't know every Canadian in the place. We're a much bigger country, you guys. We don't know each other that well. Like, we don't. Everybody knows somebody. We don't know each other. So I just think that like, I wouldn't like it if my country was getting booed, or my anthem was getting booed, if I was at a stadium. So I don't think we should do it the other way around. The old golden rule is still a pretty big one. And do unto others if they were you, I think, is very important, whether you're talking about morally right or whatever it might be. And I think that gets lost a lot in the world of sports and with fandom and. You see a lot of weird crap going on at baseball games lately, especially in Chicago. There's another fight in Chicago in the center field stands on Sunday afternoon. Like, what are we doing? If you're getting that revved up over, it's booze and whatever, and it's testosterone and stupid. It's more testosterone and stupid than it is booze, I think. But what are we doing if you're fighting during a sporting event? Go enjoy it, and then it's over. Your life isn't going to change a whole bunch of team wins or loses. So at least it shouldn't, unless you got the house mortgaged on it and everything else. But even that's your own fault, not the guy sitting next to you. And if you're jeering people and everything else, and that's maybe why, because political tensions are so high between the countries. Between certain factions, and it's on both sides of the border. I'm not going to blame one side or the other. It's the people of each country are going to be hurt by it, obviously. So if you just didn't, then you're not adding fuel to that political fire, and that seems to be what maybe both sides kind of want. They need that headbutting and then that tension to support their ideologies and support their thought on what's going on. So if you just don't, then just don't. And I think that would be a really easy thing to do, and just keep it that way. And no one will be none the wiser. Hey, look, did you hear the anthem? Like, the only ones you ever talk about are the ones that are really bad. Like, there was somebody a few weeks back that it was just when we were on our trip that was absolutely atrocious. I don't remember who it was, but it was real bad. So then, of course, Sports Center did a top 10 worst anthems of all time, and Fergie and Roseanne Barr and what's his name, Carl Lewis, and there was a few others were on there. No one really remembers a great one. Yeah, the Whitney Houston one back in during the Gulf War was in 91 or 92. You remember those ones, but in general, you don't care. Like, it's not just another song, but it's something that's just ingrained to us. And if it wasn't there, no one would know, right? Like, if I'm in the bathroom, all of a sudden I got to stop taking a pee, or I got to get out of line and put my hand on my heart because the anthem's playing. It's a little awkward, right? So I know, and I think it's just time for something like that to go, just to cool the political climate. Just especially at sporting events, you're there for 3 hours just to make it, to kind of just forget about everything and just forget about the outside world and just be inside that building and not have to worry about that kind of stuff. It's going to happen tonight. Mark my words here, and it's 9:45 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So in 7 hours, you'll be bracing for the cameras to be on, and it'll be all over Twitter, and there'll be people that are happy and there'll be people that are mad. And I'm not going to be happy, or I'm not going to be mad. I'm going to be I'll be disappointed that it's going to happen, and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But that's the political climate that we're in, and it's too bad that we're in that spot. But sports supposed to be a way to divide, not to bring us together. Right? Like if there was if you're a Canadian who's a Kansas City Royals fan going to the game tonight, and all of a sudden they're booing your team, that's kind of, I know the team isn't defined by their anthem, and I think you guys kind of know what I'm saying, but I think maybe it's just time to let it all go. That's just my thought. Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports Talk, and a lot more, as always, brought to you by SeatGeek.com and the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420GEEK. That's 1420GEEK at SeatGeek.com, and save yourself $20 on your first purchase. Here's a little commercial from our friends over at SeatGeek.
Eye on the ball, Liam. That's okay. You got this now. And see, closer.
I think I'm more of an indoor kid.
All right, here comes the heater, Liam. It's fine.
You might not be good at getting the most out of T-ball practice, but with SeatGeek, you can get the most out of your seats.
Here comes the heater, Liam.
Bro.
Be good at seats with SeatGeek.
Hey there, go over to SeatGeek, save yourself some money, put some money in our jeans. It helps by supports the show. And let's just put a few more of these things and keep moving forward. NHL, I was doing this thing during the Major League Baseball season. I actually got some pretty good feedback on Instagram and shorts and all that stuff on YouTube, and pack your crap about teams that should probably, and this goes back like after the first month of the season, teams that weren't going to make the playoffs and teams that didn't have a hope in hell. And I think the Mets were up there right away, and the Giants, I think, were the first one. The Colorado Rockies, like, they were easy, low hanging fruit ones to get. But it kind of reinforces my thought process that sometimes fans have an unrealistic goal of the season. I don't know what every sports fan by any means has what their thought process is going into a Major League Baseball season or an NHL season or NFL season. I mean, realistically, most of them have unrealistic goals of winning a championship. And you have wishful thinking and you want your team to win, but only one does. And most of the time, your team's going into a season with a little bit loftier goals than they should, and unrealistic expectations, and optimistic realism and intellectual honesty don't really hit a sports fan's thought process. Will become mathematicians when their team's getting eliminated mathematically from a playoff race. And even then, if you make the playoffs, what's your chance of actually doing anything and winning yourself a championship? Pretty slim. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous. And it's funny, you talk to NHL guys and they, well, if we did this and we did that and we get this guy, and I talked about last night a little bit, we have a chance. If you're already reconstructing your roster on the 25th of August, retooling and reconstructing are two different things. Adding a piece here and there after you're 55 games in, or whatever the NHL trade deadline's at, or you're at 100 and whatever games, and adding a pitcher here is the end of a contract year with whoever, and they're trying to unload some salary or whatever it might be, and adding some prospects down the way because you're at least a few years away from contending, let alone winning. That's a little bit different. But on the 25th of August, and you're thinking, well, we got to get this guy, that guy. Free agency's done, and you're not getting that guy on the professional tryout to help your team get themselves into a Stanley Cup kind of a situation. That's just not the way that works. And if you have that thought process, I can say a lot of stuff right now, and it'll be really underpriced. I guarantee it. So I have a bit of a pack your crap list going on right now, and it includes 10 teams out of the 32. We talked about expansion last night that they want to go to more. So you have 10 teams right now who probably don't have a hope and heck of winning anything, and most of these teams I think would be honest enough that they would be out of the picture and they wouldn't be thinking that they have a chance. But of course, you have those fans that stick through it thin. And I'm not saying don't cheer for your team. I'm not saying don't be excited when your team wins, and I'm not saying don't go and cheer. But when it comes down to the end of the season and it's all over, and you're surprised that they didn't win a cup or didn't make the playoffs or lost out in the first round, whatever it might be. If you're surprised by things, I have to question your knowledge and how things work. It's you want to cheer for your team, but then like I said, and I'm kind of downplaying how important sports are to me. I guess it's an important part of my life. It always has been, and I've always been a fan. But I've always been honest enough to go, okay, well, try again tomorrow, right? And it doesn't really affect my life a whole bunch. I'm bummed out, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You hate losing more than you like winning. You win, you're like, hey, that was cool, right on. And you go to bed and you have a few beers or whatever. You go to work, and that's it. And it's the same the other way. Like you lose, and it sucks and it hurts, especially when you lose a championship. You're in the playoffs and you get beat out, and you're kind of like, okay. And it's more of the loss of a friend. Pretty much, because all of a sudden your season's just over, and that's kind of what hurts more than anything. Is that something you've invested in for X amount of months? You follow it from training camp right on to whenever the last out or last buzzer goes, and then it's just over without your team winning. That's what kind of sucks more than anything. Is, like I said, losing a friend, and you got to figure out what you're going to do for 6 months. And like talk to your dog and talk to your wife, I guess, is two really important things. But having the intellectual honesty with yourself about winning a Stanley Cup at this stage in the game. And if you're thinking you got a chance, and I'm not saying don't go to the games, don't have a good time, but make sure you tamper your expectations a lot and see what you're doing. We'll get to those teams right now. Like it is a little bit different. You see some teams that really think that they're going to have a chance, and people I don't want to start with the really low hanging fruit here because it's really a simple one to get to, because they never win a cup. But it's and I think you guys know what I'm getting to with that one. But it's you start off with a couple of Canadian teams right off the bat, and the Vancouver Canucks and the Calgary Flames. Vancouver's had a major issue. The Pedersen deal didn't work. It hasn't been a good run for them. Their ownership hasn't been good for a lot of years. It just hasn't been anything. That's not a destination. Demko can't stay healthy, and where do you keep going with that? It's just they're just haven't been good enough. They've had a couple chances in the past, but what was it, 2011 and 1994 and 1983, I think it was, or 82, when they're in the Cup Finals, and they came up light, and they didn't get it done. And it's not a mystery that they're probably gonna be one of the worst teams in hockey in this year. And there's not much hope and not much of a anticipation, I would hope, to win a cup. Playoff spot, not even that. So people in Vancouver, you might as well pack your crap and forget about doing any damage this year right off the bat. Number two is the Calgary Flames. It breaks my heart to say that. My mom's favorite team, just up the road here, a couple hours north. On the right track? No. Are they? Do they have parts and pieces? Maybe. But they're in a situation where they're in their last year at the Saddle Dome. I don't know what it's even called anymore, what the sponsoring company is. I don't think it's Rogers, but the Saddle Dome, they've been in there since, I think, in 83 or 84. They hosted the Winter Olympics there in 88, and it's been around. So it's time for the Saddle Dome to go. But that's going to be the best part of their season, is having guys to reminisce. They'll probably do a very good job throughout the year of memories of the 89 Stanley Cup team, the team that went to the finals in 2003, I think it was, or 2004. It could have been 2002. I don't care. They didn't win, so it doesn't much matter. But it was 2004. Yeah, had been 2004. But yeah, you just wonder, it's that's going to be the highlight of their year, and seeing what they can do. But there, once again, you think that they would have tried to make a bigger splash and have something this year, that they would have maybe tried to make a bit of a push for the playoffs and then get fans excited about moving into a new building next year, because they've been rather irrelevant for a very long time and haven't done a bunch of wins. They won a playoff round a couple of years ago 2002, 2001, 2021, 2022, that Goudreau overtime goal against Dallas. But it's just been one of those things, like they haven't been relevant for a long time, and every once in a while they lick the jar. They do have that one cup in '89, but it's just not something that people would be are excited about. And I hope there's some intellectual honesty that the Calgary Flames aren't winning the Stanley Cup this year. So my advice to Calgary Flames fans is pack your crap and look forward to maybe 2027 and 28, because this ain't your year. Another one that kind of, and this one is kind of mind-boggling. They're going into a season where they're without their favorite son, and maybe his luster's worn off a little bit. Maybe I'll only do 5 of these today, and we'll do 5 tomorrow. But they're going without their favorite son. I want to keep it under these things under half an hour, but without their one of their favorite sons, who had the luster's worn off him for sure, in Steve Yzerman, but he's leaving the Detroit Red Wings as the general manager, and things haven't gone as hoped for them. The Yzer plan has not gone well. I remember last year, at the end of last season, Dylan Larkin said, I want out, and these are the teams you're going to trade me to, or else you got to find a way to do something with me. And I know what I would do. In fact, I'll explain what I would do to maybe bring some fans in to help things out. But they're not going to win a Stanley Cup. They've been a horrible franchise, a horrible, the last 5 to 8 years, expectation been high to do a little bit of damage, just haven't got anything done. And now with this Larkin situation hanging over their head, it's going to make things even tougher. You're rocking a hard place, and Larkin's in the middle. Right. And what do? Do you trade him? I would personally just say, you know what? Don't. We lost with you. We'll lose without you. Sit in the stands. I don't care. I think you would get, because the blue collar people of Detroit, who work hard for a living and, expect a certain work ethic, and, some hard times have been around that city for a long time. It's also obviously picking up, and things aren't doomsday like they used to be. But I think that the fine people and the people paying the tickets and to go into the stands, I think they would appreciate that a lot, by not having Larkin in the lineup, and say, you know what, the guy doesn't want to earn a paycheck just like us. Put him in the press box, tell him to go home, and we'll just we're going to lose anyways. I think you would get a lot more people who respect the franchise a lot more, and say, yeah, you know what, that's what I would have done too. Because people say that it's hard to do. Obviously, like we talked yesterday, you're paying Deshaun Watson $43 million, whatever it is, to sit in the stands, but oh well. So do you do the same things, and maybe the paying public would appreciate it a lot more and say, yeah, that's the right thing, and we'll try again next year. So to the fine fans of Detroit, that once proud franchise, and don't forget they were bad in the '80s too. So it hasn't been all rainbows and unicorns, during when they were winning Stanley Cups and everything else, with all those teams that they were players were begging to come there back in the '90s and early 2000s, and the Datsuk eras, and then 2 different eras of championship runs that they had there. So they had some pretty poor teams in the old Norris division back in the '80s for sure. So to the fine fans of Detroit, time to pack your crap and look up to 2027 and 2028 to see where things might go. This next one, I don't understand where this franchise is going, and what they're trying to do, and how they've gotten to this point, and then they convinced a couple of guys to stick around, and then they've tried to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, I guess. And that's the Winnipeg Jets. I've named 3 out of the 7 NHL teams in Canada already that are, it's time to pack your crap and say, see you later. But it's very interesting to me that they got a Hellebuck to stay a couple of years back, and they I don't want to say overpaid him, but they paid him a lot of money to be one of the best goalies in NHL. And he's been, for all intent and purpose, other than playoffs, he's been very good. But hasn't gotten it done in the playoffs, and it's just it just kind of keeps going. You have a lot of players there that are on the upswing and getting things right. But we remember that when Paul Maurice decided to go to different pastures, that should have been a wake up call for a lot of Jets fans to go, well, if he's going, maybe he's onto something here. We don't have much of a chance to get anything done. They have some very good young talent there in Winnipeg. They play in one of the smaller markets in the National Hockey League in front of some of the smaller sold out crowds, but the attendance is declining a little bit. Not a lot, but it is declining a little bit. And I think you're going to see that a little bit more this season. I'll talk about that in a second too. But you're going to see that a little bit more because the team just isn't going to win anything. Their best days are behind them, and they're not going to win themselves a Stanley Cup anytime soon. So Winnipeg Jets fans, your best days are behind you, and it's time to start thinking about the old our world. I'm not saying rebuild, but retool, and maybe they should have traded Hellebuck when they got the chance and trade away some pieces because you're not going to do anything. And selling the farm is tough because you still want people to come this year, but eventually people kind of catch on, say, you know what, we're not going to win anything. Do I spend this $150 a night plus beer plus when I know we're not going to do anything? I could probably put that money towards just sitting at home drinking beer. But although with all the streaming services you got to have, how much money you saving by staying at home compared to going to a game? That's just me. So Winnipeg Jets fans, I hate to say this, but it's time to think about packing your crap and come into next year land. And this has been a spicy meatball here on the podcast since I've been kind of not begging for this to be happening for a while, but it's kind of been something that I've thought was going to happen for quite some time, and it didn't. And then it completely got squashed last year when Crosby had such a great year, and he's having a great Olympics till he got hurt and everything else. But the Pittsburgh Penguins have been kind of one of those teams been hanging around for a long time. Right there in the thick of things. Crosby is one of the top 4 or 5 guys to ever play the game. So I guess I shouldn't be surprised that they've been right there and getting things done and everything. But I don't even know what the deal is with Malkin. I should probably did a little bit of research here before I started popping off. But I just can't see the Pittsburgh Penguins with Sidney Crosby getting it done. Do they have some young talent coming up? Maybe. But with the older core that they have there, with Crosby, and Crosby's not even obviously the problem, but it's got the core there that's just not getting it done. They don't have the goaltender because I think Skinner's still there. That whole thing turned out a debacle for Edmonton. That's the problem. Are they selling that Babcock thing is going to turn? I don't know. That's going to be an awfully weird one. But I just can't see the Pittsburgh Penguins winning themselves a Stanley Cup with Sidney Crosby. And is he holding the franchise back? It's hard to say that. But it's also not hard to say. Like I remember a couple of years back, I said, "There's no way he won't be wearing a Colorado Avalanche uniform, playing with the guy from the same hometown as him out in Cole Harbor, Nova Scotia, right? And ending up in Colorado with the Avalanche because they're on a team that's doing this. And they got McCarr coming up; he's going to make a lot of money. And at what point are they got to say crap or get off the pot because we got to make a deal because our threshold is getting pretty thin for when we can win multiple Stanley Cups. They got the one with that core they have, but with Colorado, like, what are they doing? Are they better than Vegas? Probably not. Are they better than Edmonton? Probably might have better goaltending, but the McDavid factor in Colorado. So I'm actually going to take a loop away from Pittsburgh because I think Pittsburgh's actually got maybe an outside chance looking in to get to a playoff spot at least, but I don't know if they're going to Cup, but I'm going to get the Colorado Avalanche. Like it's time to crap or get off the pot. So it's kind of a different line, but it's instead of packing your crap. But the Colorado Avalanche, they're in a heap of trouble if they don't get something done quick and make a deal for somebody else to get that thing done. So we'll have a 2-pack here. Why not? We'll say the Colorado Avalanche and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pack your crap, figure it out. Crosby ain't leaving. So that was one of the things that I wanted to say a few times over the years that I have said on this show a few times. A big prediction that Crosby was going to be heading out because you got to give that guy a chance to win himself a Stanley Cup and to get a chance to do something again and be, I don't want to say relevant because he's very relevant, obviously, in the world of hockey still, but that team isn't going to win a Stanley Cup anytime soon. And it's too bad because adding one more to his trophy case would just, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going doing it all. Like there's nothing that the kid hasn't done, obviously, but one more cup would be kind of cool because he's becoming, the older he gets, he's becoming more and more beloved. So it would be one hell of a story if he were able to win one more cup. And if he was to stay home and do it, that would be better. But if he got a chance to go somewhere else and win one, it would be kind of cool. I don't want to say give him the Ray Borka farewell that he got basically gifted one, but it would be kind of cool if Sidney Crosby could be leading contributor, I guess, of a Stanley Cup there in with somewhere in the National Hockey League. So there it is, the half 10 pack of pack your crap teams that aren't going to win the Stanley Cup in the 2026-27 season here on the 8th day or the 25th day of August. Who knows if I'm going to get them right? I think I'm going to be pretty solid on those first 5 that they aren't winning Stanley Cups. I'll do the other 5 probably tomorrow. I got a different show. Actually, tomorrow I think we got Nate from the Chaos. I do know it. I listen to a show all the time about the Baltimore Orioles podcast, so he's very good. But it's really good to have Nate back here. We talked about yesterday. Anyways, make sure you guys listen to the show. Got some new merch out, like one of these hoodies I've had for a while. Going to put them into production. So if you want one, let me know your size. Just email me or text me or whatever. Me 1420sports@gmail.com. It's spelled out, obviously, 1420. So if you want a hoodie or some other merchandise we got going, I'll put it up on the Facebook account, maybe on the Twitter account. Twitter's weird. It's weird. Like when I had 5,000 plus followers, and then I didn't because of Twitter. So it's hard to get that back, but I'll put it up on the Facebook account, some different hoodies and stuff that we have for merchandise for you guys to help support the show, and just some advertising and everything else. And yeah, makes the guy feel good. Anyways, there it is. I had some other news. We'll talk about it tomorrow. There it is, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports Talk, and a whole lot more. Don't boo anthems. Maybe just go to the washroom, or show up late, or pretend you're on the phone, or something. Don't boo anthems. Just turn the anthem off. And that's what someone should do. Someone should find the power cord and unplug it. And if it's an anthem singer, do the Forrest Gump thing, unplug the microphone. Don't boo anthems. That's my advice to the city of Toronto and the people when the Jays go down south. Don't boo anthems. Doesn't do you any good. Doesn't do anybody any good. There it is, 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 Beer Sports Talk and a whole lot more. SeatGeek.com, SeatGeek app. 1420GEEK is the promo code. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are. It's who you're with. Have yourselves a great day. Thanks for tuning into the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 Beer Sports Talk and a whole lot more, brought to you by SeatGeek. Go to bellyupsports.com for the best of sports articles and podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel or wherever